Be cool, be kind, be classy. The cupcakes so sweet and sexy. Have fun and enjoy the journey. Just have a good attorney. No big whoop, no biggie. She lives near New York City. And not just a YouTube show. When you know, you better grab a straw. Learn about the law. It's cool here in the shade, sipping motions of lemonade. Cool heads will prevail, kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Oh, Melanie Little is going live. Oh no, where is Melanie? Follow the island's melody. Is a concert within reach. No surprise, she's at Jones Beach. She heard some music far away. Captain Jack Sack Harbor Bay. He sings and his piano plays. Not all sounds are waterways. Speaking Yiddish and Latin, it's not just for Manhattan. It's for Goethe and Machegas. Ridiculous that insanus. Oy vey, Marcus. Proset, that's for schmucks. Be cool, be kind, be classy. My cupcakes are sweet and sassy. And not just a YouTube show. When you know. Cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Melanie Little is going live.
Morning. Good morning, my friends, and happy hump day. Today is Wednesday, March 4th, 2026. Do you notice that every time I tell you what day it is, I have to look to the corner of my screen because I have no idea what day it is. Half the time I tell you it's Tuesday when it's Monday. Half the time I tell you it's Wednesday when it's Tuesday. It's just, I have no idea what day it is because they all start to blend together after a while. Good afternoon to Ireland. Sláinte, my friends. It is Wednesday, March 4th, 2026. And I am so conflicted today. I'm so conflicted today because you know how much I hate Hank Brennan. And I think many of us felt the same when he persecuted Karen Reed on trial number 2. And thank you to Sierra. Sierra gets all the credit today for pointing this trial out to me because you are going to be mind blown. You're going to be mind blown. That's all I can say for right now. I don't want to spoil it for you because I want you to go into this cold. I don't want you to know anything about this case that we're going to cover today at all. And trust me, nobody wants you to know about it. Nobody wants you to know about it. Nobody's telling you about it. And guess where it is? Just guess which county in Massachusetts we find ourselves in on a case that probably never should have been persecuted against another woman. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, it's Essex County. It is Essex County, the same county where Kelsey Fitzsimmons is being persecuted. The same county where another trial, I'm trying to think of what else was in it's in Lawrence, I think. But we're going to get there. We're going to get there. Listen, check this out. Some very exciting news that broke first thing this morning is that Aaron Spencer has won the primary of the Lono County Sheriff's race in Lono County, Arkansas. And a change is going to come, my friends. A change is going to come. Look at this. Aaron Spencer won the Republican nomination for Lono County yesterday. Look at that. Aaron Spencer has won the Republican primary for Lono County Sheriff after making national headlines in October of 2024 when he was charged with murder. It was very confusing. Some articles said that it was the real election. Some articles yesterday, actually none of them said it was the primary, but I had a feeling it was the primary, and I was right. I got to stop listening to what people tell me in the chat because I got to do my own research before I can even tell you about it. But here it is. And you're going to see, well, let's listen to what she's got to say. Hold on one second. I don't know her name. Sorry.
Breaking news overnight, Aaron Spencer emerging victorious, securing the Republican nomination for Lonoke County Sheriff.
Spencer defeating incumbent Sheriff John Staley, who conceded in a statement posted to his social media. THV 11's Tamer Knight joins us live from Lonoke County this morning with the latest details. Good morning,
Staley
Tamer.
out.
Well, good morning, Karen and Hayden. That's right. Election officials worked overnight to finish counting votes here in Lonoke County. It was reported to our newsroom a little after 1 a.m. that Aaron Spencer had won the primary election for the county sheriff. Now, Spencer won the election with 53.5% votes over John Staley's 26.5%. Candidate David
Staley is out. And out of the three candidates running in the Republican primary for sheriff in Lonoke County, Aaron Spencer with 54% of the vote. John Staley, the incumbent, the guy who we read a lot of lawsuits about, including the fact that he may have beat up some prisoners. And, there were women being raped in the prison or the jail by workers at the women's prison or jail. And we read all of those lawsuits. Staley is out. 27% of the vote, and a third candidate named David Bufford with 20% of the vote. Wow, just wow. A change is going to come, my friends. A change is going to come. That's why we get loud, and that's why we do this. That's why we do this.
Buford fell short with 19.9% of the people's vote. Aaron Spencer first announced his candidacy back in October amid a second-degree.
Oh, really? And they pick his mugshot to show on this clip?
Murder trial. The race has drawn national attention because he's accused of killing a man who kidnapped his 13-year-old daughter. Spencer's jury trial is on hold until later this month, and if convicted, he would be ineligible to.
Wait. Hold on a second.
Spencer's jury trial is on hold until national attention because he's accused of killing a man who kidnapped his 13-year-old daughter. Spencer.
Oh, he didn't just kidnap her. He graped her, he groomed her, and he did lots more to her than kidnap her. But okay. This is why mainstream media is dying. This is why mainstream media is dying. You know why? Part of why this case got national attention is because you guys are loud. That's why, because you're loud. Michael Fossler didn't just kidnap his daughter as if it's a just. He groomed her from the time she was 13. He graped her. He took advantage of her, and he gave her a life sentence. And then he kidnapped her and graped her some more until her father, Aaron Spencer, found her in a truck with this guy in the middle of the night and pumped him full of lead. And he was 67 years old. Thank you for pointing that out. Many people may not know that. Here we go.
Spencer's jury trial is on hold until later this month, and if convicted, he would be ineligible to hold office. Deputies under John Staley helped build the case against Spencer. Now, of course, as more information becomes available, we will bring you all the latest updates to THV 11. Reporting in Lonoke County for THV 11 News, I'm Tamer Knight.
All right, Tamer, thank you for that overnight update. We appreciate it.
Interesting, right? Interesting how they report what they want to report. I mean, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't be surprised anymore. But here's the article. It says Little Rock, Arkansas. In recent years, primary elections in Arkansas have been mostly routine without much fanfare. But in 2026, several races made national news, including the race for Lonoke County Sheriff. 3 men were in the running for the Republican nomination in this race: Sheriff John Staley, David Bufford, and Aaron Spencer. Spencer made nationwide headlines in October 2024 when he was charged with murder after shooting a man he found with his teenage daughter. That man, Michael Fossler, was accused of essaying Spencer's daughter. At least the print part gets it right. He would then announce nearly a year later that he was running for the county sheriff's seat. Spencer is currently awaiting his trial for the murder charge to start sometime in 2026. I don't think the date has been set yet. We do know that Judge Barbara Elmore has been removed from the case. However, I don't think the new judge has yet set the trial date. Staley had been serving as the Lonow County Sheriff since January of 2013. Wow. 12 years of terror under the reign of Sheriff John Staley. Below you will see the latest results for the race, and this was 54% Aaron Spencer, 27% John Staley, and 20% David Bufford. And so no House, no Faust says the media in that county has been dirty reporting all evening about this and definitely was being biased toward the current sheriff. The article goes on to say, as the winner of the Republican primary, Aaron Spencer will face Democratic candidate Brian Mitchell Sr. for the title of Lonow County Sheriff in November. And somebody pointed out right before this that, and I don't know if this is true, but if you're from Lonow County, tell me, is the primary essentially like the election because the Republicans have a pretty big stronghold in Lonow County? You let me know. You let me know. Okay. That is that. Hank Brennan is playing no part in this, but we're going to move on to Hank Brennan right now. But first thing we got to do is we got to pull today's motivational quote, because that's what we do here, because everyone needs a little bit of motivation. Today's Wednesday, March 4th, 2026. There is a Democrat running. His name is Brian Mitchell Sr. Brian Mitchell Sr. is the Democratic candidate. So there you go. There is a Democratic candidate, and that will happen in November. And today's quote of the day, motivational quote of the day, is Walter Chrysler, who famously said, I don't know if it was famous or not, the real secret of success is enthusiasm. I love that. The real secret of success is enthusiasm. And that's why you don't see me covering the Corey Richens case, because I'm just not enthusiastic about it. Not enthusiastic about it. And so there may not be 30,000 people watching today, but that's okay, because you're going to get loud about this next case that we're going to cover. And we forgot to do an empowerment card yesterday, so we'll do one right now, and we'll do one later. This is the empowerment card of the day. Yes, I lost a nail. I definitely need a manicure. Why is it that I just can't get myself there? And yeah, well, and here's why. Here's the empowerment quote of the day. Be addicted to bettering yourself. There it is. I will get thee to the nail salon. Be addicted to bettering yourself. As I hide the nail that is missing. There you go. All right. Here we go. All right. We're going to go to Essex County right now. And we're going to listen to opening statements for a trial that you're going to know nothing about. Maybe some of you did. Maybe some of you know a little bit about it, because maybe some of you, this was hidden. Sierra gets all the credit. She sent it to me, and I'm conflicted about this, and I don't know how to feel about it. This is a case that goes back to July of 2020. And if you read the reporting on it by someone I'll tell you about later, they're very unclear. They're very unclear. Some of them say July 17th. Some of the reporting says July 24th. Regardless, it is almost 6 years old, this case. Case is being tried in Essex County, Massachusetts. Let's go to the opening statements. They're only 22 minutes long. First, you're going to hear from the Assistant District Attorney, Patrick Burke. And then you are going to hear from the defense attorney, Hank Brennan. Okay? I want you to keep an open mind right now. Because nobody is more conflicted about this than I am. I'm also going to trigger warn you. This is a very difficult case. And if you need to tap out, please do so for your mental health. Okay? These are opening statements. This was yesterday. This is the trial nobody wants you to see. They're not even naming Hank Brennan. I would think if they wanted eyes on this on Court TV, they would say Hank Brennan's new case, but they're not. They're not. They're calling this the, hold please, the reluctant victim assault trial. Okay? They don't even name Hank Brennan. This is opening statements. The defendant's name is Lucy Medina. And this is the Assistant District Attorney, Patrick Burke. I'm telling you nothing about this case. I did not make show notes because I want you to keep an open mind. Lucy has been ROR since the date of the incident back in July of 2020. Okay, here we go. You know nothing. We're going to talk about it afterwards.
Why didn't I just walk away? That's what this defendant said to the police the night that she stabbed her husband, Luis Medina, without justification, causing him serious bodily injury. She stabbed him with a knife that she decided to grab from the kitchen. She then went outside, stabbed him in the neck, rather than just walking away. In July of 2020, Lucy and Luis Medina had been together for about 20 years. They got married in 2001. They were living together in Lawrence. They both had children from previous marriages. They were together for a long time. And in July of 2020, I think we all remember, during the height of COVID, being cooped up in our houses, having nothing to do, and trying to find things to do in July of 2020 during the height of the pandemic. And one thing that Luis and Lucy did on July 17th, 2020 is drink alcohol. They were outside, out on their patio. It's a Friday night. They're sitting on their patio behind their apartment, hanging out, something that they regularly did. They're drinking beers, tequila shots, and an argument starts. An argument starts, you'll hear from an interview with the defendant about their children. An argument that started between two people that had known each other, been together for over 20 years, fueled by alcohol, as well as the family issues that was the source of their argument. You're going to hear, as I said, that Miss Medina was drinking beers, that night before she stabbed Mr. Medina, she had more than 5 beers, along with tequila shots. And you may very well hear that Luis was physical with the defendant on this occasion, that he hit her. You very well may hear evidence of that. And of course, the defendant is allowed to take reasonable measures to defend herself if she's being attacked. Nobody's questioning that. But what I ask you to keep in mind throughout the course of this trial, what I would suggest is an extremely important thing to remember, is that whenever somebody, like in this case, takes a knife and stabs somebody, they have to have proper justification. And they cannot do what is more than reasonably necessary in the moment. The court, Judge Frazier, at the end of this trial, will give you full instructions on self-defense, and I don't want to substitute for that. But I ask you to keep in mind, when you hear the evidence, when you listen to Ms. Medina's interview, when you see photographs, when you hear about Mr. Medina's injuries, that's what I ask you to consider. Did she take reasonable steps to leave the argument? And did she have justification? I suggest to you that that this evidence during this trial will show that she did not. She made a choice to go in the kitchen, grab a knife, and stab him in the neck. Well, Lewis.
While you're listening to this, think about whether this case ever should have been brought in the first place.
Is still standing outside in the midst of that argument, out on the patio, drinking beers, drinking tequila. This defendant makes a decision. She goes through the back door into her apartment, a basement apartment in the building where they were living, down the stairs into the kitchen. She opens a silverware drawer. She grabs a sharp knife out of that silverware drawer. She goes back outside. She goes back to the argument. She stabs him in the neck. And you're going to hear that she felt terribly about stabbing him. You're going to hear that she called 911, that she was trying to help him, that she was, you're going to hear that she's distraught, extremely upset on those 911 calls. Again, no one is disputing that she was upset about what she did to Mr. Medina. But that does not change the fact that she did not have justification for stabbing him in the neck. You're going to hear from the investigation that took place after the stabbing.
Okay, a lot of questions in the chat. I told you nothing about the case on purpose. Hank Brennan is the defense attorney. Just let's listen to openings and save the questions, because the openings are going to answer all your questions. And if they don't, well, then it's a really bad opening. Okay. Yes, he's the defense lawyer. As you see scrolling along the bottom of your screen. This is Assistant District Attorney Patrick Burke of Essex County. And he is doing the opening. This trial started yesterday. Nobody's talking about it. The judge is John Frazier. It's in Lawrence, Essex County. Let's keep going.
That first responders, police, crime scene technicians arrived at the scene in order to collect evidence and just find out exactly what happened. There were attempts to talk to neighbors to see if there were any witnesses, since it happened outside. There were no witnesses to this other than Mr. and Mrs. Medina. No one saw what happened. No one observed any of the argument. Again, the only people who could tell us exactly what happened is Mr. Medina and, of course, Miss Medina herself, which you will see in the recorded interview that she gave with the police the night of this incident.
Wait, they recorded an interview all the way back in 2020? Oh, that's interesting. Is that the way they do it in Essex County? Because North Andover police don't wear body cams. Okay. Did they ever record a statement of Kelsey Fitzsimmons? No. Did they record a statement of Noonan? We don't know yet. This is interesting. This is the same county.
And as I said, you're going to see pictures of the scene. The amount of blood that was coming from Lewis's neck. The blood trails from the patio, through the door, through the hallway into the kitchen. You're going to see blood on the faucet in the kitchen, blood on the cabinets. And this blood was from this serious injury that Miss Medina inflicted on Mr. Medina without justification by stabbing him in the neck when she could have just walked away by her own admission.
She could have just walked away. He's alive. He didn't die. Listen.
They, of course, tried to interview Luis to get his side that night. He was seriously injured. He was in surgery. They were not able to get his story. And you may very well hear during this trial that they were unable to get his story at all. And you may not hear from Luis Medina during this trial.
Oh, interesting.
But again, if that's
interesting. So the husband never gave a statement at all, ever. He was in surgery. He's still alive. But maybe the prosecutor's not going to call him the victim, the alleged victim. Again, please, I take a lot of time to do these scrolling banners at the bottom. What you need to know is what is happening. The county, the judge, the name of the case, the name of the ADA.
That's the case, this trial. But again, if that's the case,
hold on. Maybe he doesn't want to come in. Maybe he's going to claim privilege. Maybe he doesn't think that, maybe the victim doesn't think she did anything wrong and she did act in self-defense. But listen, you're going to listen. Hold on.
During this trial. But during the they were not able to get his story. And you may very well hear during this trial that they were unable to get his story at all. And you may not hear from Luis Medina during this trial. But again, if that's the case, I'd ask you to consider, notwithstanding not hearing his full side of the story, the circumstances, the blood at the scene, the chaotic nature of the scene, the defendant's statements, the fact that there was one knife, one deadly weapon found or ever even alluded to. That kitchen knife, that sharp knife that was found on the ground on the patio after the defendant stabbed Mr. Medina. You're not going to hear about any other deadly weapons or anything like that. And based on Lewis's injuries, the condition of the scene, the weapon, all of the circumstances, the statements the defendant gives that very night, you're going to see that the evidence shows again that she stabbed him without justification. She did not take reasonable measures to leave the situation by her own admission. And as I've stated, you're going to see her interview and you're going to see how distraught she is. Nobody's denying that. Nobody's denying that she was upset after she stabbed him. But two things can be true. She can be upset for what she did, and what she did was still wrong. And again, no one's disputing she can take reasonable steps to defend herself, but leaving the argument, going into the kitchen, opening that silverware drawer, grabbing the knife, going back outside, connecting with him and stabbing him was completely without justification. And I'll ask you again, and I ask that you consider throughout the trial as you hear this evidence, why didn't she just walk away? And at the end of this trial, I'll have the opportunity to address you again, and I'll ask for a verdict of guilty on the charges. Thank you.
Is it just me, or does he not sound very confident in his case? Is it just me? Hank Brennan is the defense attorney. I don't think he takes public defender work, so I'm going to assume that he's a private attorney for Lucy Medina. Let me just change the banner. If the banner is cut off or the chyron is cut off on your TV, sorry about that, but sounds like a you problem. I'm just kidding. All right, hold on. Let me change the chyron now. Hank Brennan's coming up. There she is. Caliera is the one who told me about this case, and I started watching it last night, and I got so angry that I almost went live with it right away. But it was late, and the airwaves were crowded. And so I decided to save it for this morning for those of you who are not watching Corey Richens, and you're all here, all almost 4,000 of you. And while you're here, please hit the like button. Nobody wants you to know about this case. Thank goodness, Caliera, her name's really Sierra, told me about it. And look, she became a new member too. So thank her for doing the Lord's work. Here comes Hank Brennan. He's defending Lucy Medina, and let's hear what he's got to say. I know that we all hate him. Keep an open mind. Nobody regrets maybe changing my opinion about him more than I do, maybe. And I haven't made up my mind yet because I didn't finish watching his opening because I didn't want to make my mind up yet, okay? I know you hate his voice. Let's focus on the content of what he's saying, okay? Here we go.
Mr. Defendant. He beat her. He beat her up. He beat her down. He beat her into subservience. Not just that night. He beat her constantly. Not just a week before, not a month before, not a year before. He beat her for 28 years.
In addition to the trigger warning, I'm going to say, get some tissues. Just get some tissues, because I know this is going to trigger a lot of you. And I know that I already have tears in my eyes, okay? Yeah, I know we can't stand his voice. Can we move away from his voice, please? Please? Thank you. This is about the defendant. This is about Lucy Medina. He beat her. He beat her up. He beat her down. He beat her for 28 years. I'm going to start that over because All anybody wants to talk about is his voice, and I want to talk about the content of what he's saying. Okay, here we go. You don't believe anything he says? He's got receipts. Okay.
He beat her. He beat her up. He beat her down. He beat her into subservience. Not just that night. He beat her constantly. Not just a week before, not a month before, not a year before. He beat her for 28 years. He beat her. And he did it constantly. He did it proudly. And he did it until she couldn't fight back. That night started well before that evening. It was 28 years in the making. It was an investment by her husband of power, control, and dominance. He took from her, he robbed from her dignity, her self-respect, her ability to protect herself. That's what this case is about. And she had a right. She had a right that night to say no. Stop. No more. Because she could never speak up or defend herself. It would only get worse. 28 years. This was no different. The punches to the face that night, the battering of her body, it was no different than almost every other weekend in her adult life. You will see injuries and bruises. Can I stay?
Okay, if you can come look at your screen. This is so ironic. Hank Brennan holding up a giant, what they call in Massachusetts, a chalk, which is a big giant poster board picture. And you're going to see he's going to a little bit kind of on purpose show the picture to the camera. Right now he's showing it to the jury, and the court TV camera is kind of, I guess, in the corner, so he doesn't really have a view of it. Come to your screen if you can.
This wasn't something that was unique or just that night. This is how she lived. The government is asking you to convict her for defending herself. The thing is, they actually don't know what happened that night. They don't know. They interviewed her, and you're going to get a chance, the benefit of seeing her interaction with the police, partially catatonic through it, how distraught she is, and you'll see the bruises that are starting to form. Why? Why? He beats me. He beats me. And you'll hear her tell the police that she got a knife because he wanted her to stop. You're not going to hear her say that she walked up to him and stabbed him. That's a creation of the government. She had a knife to say no more. And we have no idea. They have no idea. They will have no evidence of proof to say she stabbed him. Did he try to take the knife away from her? Was she on the ground holding it to protect herself? Is that how she had the marks and the cuts and the bruises? They don't know. So they just skip to, she stabbed him. They don't have an expert who's going to come in and talk about the wound and say whether it was from an angle or she was on the ground or they were fighting over the knife or he had grabbed it. But what they do have that they didn't tell you is in the medical records when the personnel asked, how did this wound happen? He said, I did it to myself.
Bam. Typically, medical records are hearsay because you can't always trust that what a medical provider writes down in your medical records is accurate. I mean, hell, in Massachusetts, you can't even guarantee that what Trooper a Massachusetts state police trooper writes down in a witness statement is accurate, right? How many times did we see that in Karen Reed? But in Luis Medina's medical records, he told the doctors, nurses, whoever wrote the note, when asked, how did this injury happen to your neck? He said, I did it to myself. I'm going to assume it's coming in because he's mentioning it in his opening, and we didn't know about this case, so we didn't cover the pretrial. But I'm here for it now. I don't know about you.
I did to myself. So the government is not going to be able to give you any evidence of how this happened. And one thing that really stands out, they're going to make no effort to tell you why it happened. They don't go and speak to coworkers and ask them if those bruises were every month or every weekend for 28 years. They don't get a doctor to evaluate the information or evidence. They don't ask follow-up questions about all the marks and bruises. They just charge her with the crime. And so, although an accused, presumed innocent, has no burden of proof, we don't have to prove anything. They can't prove it. We don't have to prove anything. But we're going to provide evidence to you. Attorney Gina Simonelli Baxter and I are going to take you back through the history of Miss Medina, and she's going to have to suffer through this for the next few days because she must. But we're going to tell you about what led to her state of mind that night when she needed to defend herself, because you can only understand it if you understand the history. And they are not going to do that for you. They didn't even try. So we have to go back to before Lucy met her husband, Luis Medina. You'll hear from friends of hers. She was outgoing, charismatic, happy. And then things changed. Before I tell you about her meeting Luis Medina, her husband, let me tell you a little bit about Luis Medina before he met Lucy Medina. He was dating another woman, had a child, and guess what? He beat her. It wasn't just Lucy, he beat her. And she escaped.
I guess the prior bad acts are coming in. And I guess Lucy Medina is going to testify. And a lot of you are incredibly shocked that you're thinking that this is the Hank Brennan redemption tour. Maybe it is. I don't know yet.
That woman, right before Lucy escaped,
Oh, oops.
and then enter Lucy, she didn't know.
I just want to take that back a tiny bit.
Before I tell you about her meeting Luis Medina, her husband, let me tell you a little bit about Luis Medina before he met Lucy Medina. He was dating another woman, had a child, and guess what? He beat her. It wasn't just Lucy, he beat her. And she escaped. That woman, right before Lucy escaped, and then enter Lucy, she didn't know. But she was going to soon find out. 5 months into their dating, just 5 months, it began. He took her one night to his mother's house in a back room and shut the door, fueled by alcohol, and he beat her. I don't mean he slapped her. I don't mean that he pushed her. He beat her. Her face covered in bruises, her body, the welts, out of nowhere. She had no idea. She wouldn't leave the room for days, not because she was angry. She was embarrassed. She was humiliated. She wondered what she had done wrong to him. And so she stayed until the wounds began to heal. This would become a routine in her entire adult life. After that 5 months, it continued. They got married. They moved into a home. And he beat her. You're going to hear from witnesses that the government knows about, but they would never will call them. People that work with Lucy Medina, people that knew her over a period of 28 years. And they will tell you, when you hear from them, about the black eyes and the bruises and the scratches in the long periods of time that Lucy didn't come to work. And when she'd come to work, the shawls over her body, the hiding of her face, the makeup. And when she was asked, it was always the same. Lucy, what happened? She fell down the stairs. She fell out of bed. She walked into a cabinet, slipped on the ice. Over the next 20 years, Lucy Medina would fall down a lot. A lot. And if anybody ever tried to speak to Lucy, she would be guarded and protective. Back at home, it wasn't just physical, psychological. Her hands cramped. Every morning, fresh oranges, but freshly squeezed oranges every day. Every day. And get it right, or do it again. And so over that period of time, Lucy Medina psychologically changed. One more.
Did he just, is it his, we can hear someone crying into the mic. I'm not sure if that's his client, but he just went over to the table, I think, to ask if she was okay. Hold on. I just want to hear this again, where he says, one moment.
Changed. One more. She changed. And over those years, she was damaged. You're going to hear from an expert witness, Dr. Zeisel, an absolute expert in psychology, has studied battered woman syndrome, has studied PTSD, has dealt with hundreds of cases, and you're going to have an opportunity to hear from him. And he is going to talk about the psychological effect of the physical and emotional beatings over periods of years. And he had a chance to evaluate not only the facts in this case, he had a chance to listen to the witnesses who will attest to what they saw over that 28 years. He's going to share with you the unfortunate culmination of this damage, PTSD, anxiety disorder. He will talk about what a battered woman is. And a battered woman is Lucy Medina.
Note, Dr. Zeisel is also going to be the expert, I believe, in Lindsay Clancy, correct? Dr. Zeisel gets around a lot. I've heard that name a lot in a lot of cases that we're covering in Massachusetts. You think it's staged that she's crying, Tori? You think it's staged that the defendant is crying? Or something else is staged?
And he will share with you how this abuse over a long period of time deteriorates someone's psychology. The fear, the panic, it's not if she's going to get beaten again. It's when. How bad. And that night, you can tell from those pictures, she was in the middle of a beating. And they're going to try to tell you, walk away. You don't walk away from those type of injuries. You don't. She couldn't. And so inevitably, you are going to learn, when you consider self-defense, what the frailness and psychology of Lucy Medina was at the time she said stop. But you'll still never know what actually happened because they don't have a witness. You're not going to hear. You're maybe not going to hear from Lucy Medina. You're not going to hear from her. I'll tell you that right now. But you are going to hear from somebody, a very important witness. and that is Louis Medina's attorney. His name is Attorney Marat Erkan, represents Louis Medina. We're going to call him as a witness because in 2021, Attorney Erkan wrote a letter on behalf of his client, Louis Medina. And that letter was submitted to the government.
If your mind has begun to wander, if your mind is wandering, come back and pay close attention to this. There is a letter in the court file from Louis Medina, the victims here, the alleged victim's attorney, that is in the court file within 1 year of this alleged crime. Okay, I'm going to take it back. And still, the Commonwealth has chosen to prosecute this woman. Okay, listen up.
Is Louis Medina somebody? I'm not going to hear from him. I'll tell you that right now. But you are going to hear from somebody, a very important witness, and that is Louis Medina's attorney. His name is Attorney Marat Erkan, represents Louis Medina. We're going to call him as a witness because in 2021, Attorney Erkan wrote a letter on behalf of his client, Louis Medina. And that letter was submitted to the government explaining that Louis Medina has a long-time affliction with alcohol, and he admits that he beats Lucy Medina.
I'm sorry, what?
He admits about this long-standing battering of his wife.
I'm sorry, what?
So you're not going to hear from him, but you're going to hear from his attorney. It's not Lucy Medina saying this because it was a bad night. This is a lifetime of abuse.
Let me ask you a question, Commonwealth. Is Louis Medina being prosecuted based on his admissions of beating his wife? No, they're pinning it on the girl. And the victim in this case isn't even cooperating with the government.
And inevitably, at the end of this case, you're going to learn that this was not a night of violence for Lucy Medina. This was a night of survival. And she had a right. And we're going to ask you at the end of this case to acquit Lucy Medina. Thank you.
Can we touch?
Yes.
And that was the opening statements from yesterday. Court TV is calling this, what did we say before? The reluctant victim trial. The reluctant victim trial. This is happening in Essex County Superior Court in Salem. Actually, it's in Salem. 5th floor. In front of Judge Frazier. Criminal 3I. Yesterday was day 1 of the trial. Today is day 2 of the trial. Court TV is not even advertising this as having Hank Brennan to do, having anything to do with it. We know from our experience that Salem does not have Zoom capabilities, that Salem only has conference call capabilities, and that one time there were so many people on the conference call for Kelsey Fitzsimmons that the judge got really mad at Tim Bradle for, what did he say, overloading their system because there were so many people that wanted to listen to Kelsey's case that day. So it's not being televised. I don't know. Court TV had a camera in there yesterday. There's one more video that I'm going to show you from some testimony that is very graphic from yesterday. But here's the facts, and I didn't want to put them in the show notes yet because I wanted you to go into this cold. In July of 2020, it was July 17th of 2020, Lucy Medina assaulted her husband of 20 years. He hit her. She got a knife. She stabbed him in the neck. She's claiming self-defense. She's the one who called 911, and she's the one being charged. She was beaten by this man for 28 years. He admits it in a letter that his attorney sent to the court 1 year after this alleged assault. And the Commonwealth is still pushing. The Commonwealth is still forging ahead with a prosecution of a woman who has been a victim of DV for 28 years. It was brought up in opening that, and perhaps she's going to come in and testify, the woman that Luis Medina was with before he married Lucy Medina, that he has a child with, he beat her too. Lucy Medina has been indicted on charges of aggravated assault and battery with a dangerous weapon and assault and battery on a family and household member, family or household member. And I believe these are the same charges that Kelsey's been brought up on. I don't have the indictment because I just found out about this case literally last night. Lucy's been out ROR since the date of the crime because I guess, remember what was going on with the lockdowns and everything in 2020. They probably couldn't keep her anywhere. I don't know what was going on with the jail system. Luis Medina, the alleged victim here, had surgery and survived, but he never gave his account of what happened that night. Luis Medina is on the Commonwealth witness list, but apparently they're not going to call him, according to the ADA Patrick Burke. Hank Brennan, Lucy Medina's defense attorney, said in a motion that he expects Luis Medina to assert both his Fifth Amendment and spousal privilege and refused to testify. But he just told us in his opening that you're not going to hear from him, but you're going to hear from his attorney who wrote the letter to the court saying, if anything happened that night, it was in self-defense. And yeah, I've been beating her. The defense says that Hank Brennan has said that they plan to focus the case on the issues of who the first aggressor was on July 17th. But the reporting by Court TV is all over the place. Some say July 17th, some say July 24th, because details don't matter, apparently. Whether the amount of force that Lucy Medina used was reasonable and whether Luis Medina was a victim of his wife's violence or vice versa. ROR is released on their own recognizance. That means that you don't have to pay a bond or bail. Prosecutors have asked the judge to bar the defense from introducing, quote, remote, vague hearsay statements about prior domestic incidents. Guess it's not going to be remote or vague because her coworkers are going to come in and testify, it seems like. We could hear her weeping throughout the entire opening, and could you blame her? A letter sent to the court from Luis that the defense intends to introduce. Well, actually, it was his again, they're not right in their details, Court TV. It's his attorney, Luis's attorney, who wrote the letter, says, quote, Mr. Medina firmly believes that if defendant was the source of his injuries, she acted in self-defense. He is adamant that defendant committed no crime. And yet, here we are watching, only because Court TV chose to parse very small clips from yesterday's day one of the trial, the openings. And now we're going to hear, I think, the 911 call and another witness, the maybe the lead investigator. And it's going to be graphic and it's going to be ugly. And why are they doing this? It's going to be an officer, I believe, from Lawrence PD. In Brennan's opening, he said he beat her for 28 years. 5 months after they started dating, he started beating her. He robbed her of her dignity, her self-respect, her ability to protect herself. And in Luis Medina's medical records, it states that Luis did it to himself. I'm already twitching. My eye is already twitching. Is anybody else totally conflicted about this case because of who the defense attorney is? A lot of comments in here like, I never thought. Hank Brennan, being a fan of Hank Brennan was going to be on my bingo card. Mastat says, Officer Noonan used to work for Lawrence PD and he's on the list of potential witnesses. We got to do our document deep dive, Mastat. Maybe you already started. Maybe you've already been covering this all along. She's being charged with aggravated assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. That's the same charge as Kelsey Fitzsimmons has, right? And assault and battery on a family and household member. And these charges, hold please. I think the top charge is like a maximum of 10 years. And maybe the second charge is a maximum of 7 years. So what happened yesterday after openings, there was testimony from a neighbor. Her name is Maria Sanchez. We don't have video of that. But apparently Sanchez lived above the Medinas and testified through an interpreter. She said she did not hear the Medinas fighting or arguing and did not observe the incident on July 17th. When police arrived on July 17th, Lucy was in disarray, bloody, and was crying hysterically. So now we're going to go to the testimony of a sergeant from Lawrence PD. But again, this video is only 34 minutes long. So there's only select portions of this trial available because the Commonwealth doesn't want you to see it, in my opinion. Let's go to the chat for a minute before we move on to the next testimony. Thank you, Hilda, for being here for 13 months. Hi. Mark says 17 glorious months. Thanks for being so amazing. Oh, thank you, Mark. On top, thanks for your super sticker. Sierra's the one who brought my attention to this. I love you with all of my heart. Thanks for covering this. I am outraged. She was so outraged. She had to write to me right away and tell me about it. And thanks for becoming a member, Sierra. Quinley's been here for 5 months and says that I have a beautiful heart. No, you guys have a beautiful heart. You know why? Because you're so invested in the things that you're passionate about. Nancy said the husband agrees Lucy acted in self-defense. That's what makes these charges crazy. Kelly Reed is here, and she says this opening is already better than Karen's, maybe because this time he actually believes what he is saying. And even Karen Reed's, Bill Reed's cousin, Kelly Reed, is here and says, go Hank. Thanks, Kelly. I love you. Kazira said I would be happy if he learned some tricks from AJ to defend this woman. Courtney says this one's hard to watch. As a survivor of DV for over 15 years, I'll definitely need tissues. I'm so sorry, Courtney. And she's thanking me for my coverage. Thanks for tuning in from Canada. I'm so sorry for what happened to you. Roy Handy says it seems like maybe Hank is good when there are good facts to grab onto. Thank you, Roy, for your 5. Lady Wags says I'm behind. The government doesn't know what happened. Same for Karen, but that didn't matter then. Frankie Bean says, I mean, we can't fault an attorney for doing his job. He is just a slime ball and was willing to throw an innocent woman in jail. Don't like the man, but I support defense attorneys. Well, let me tell you this. Classiest thing that Hank Brennan did was the day of Karen Reed's acquittal, he moved to sentencing immediately without some BS PSI, investigation and coming back and asking for all. And he asked for her to have probation. And in that moment, even Mark Betterow, who was watching with me at the time, said he did a classy thing. Mastad says this goes to show that everything he did in the Karen Reed case was done because he was told to do it. Kathy says, I'm not jumping on the love Hank bandwagon. When you're capable of being corrupt in one of your cases, you're capable of being corrupt in them all. As a client, I wouldn't want his stench on my case. There was something that somebody sent me this morning in one of the sidebars during the Karen Reed trial that Hank Brennan prosecuted where, and I think I heard Grant Smith Ellis talking about it during one of the sidebars. Hank Brennan apparently was caught off guard when Alan Jackson started questioning Jennifer McCabe about a police report in which Jen McCabe told whichever officer who wrote it that Karen should come to her house. Hank Brennan was caught off guard about that. Just pointing it out. How could he turn down 500K, said Lucy. Look at you, Melanie, saving us from Corey Richens, says Julie. Thanks, Julie, for being here for 6 months. Karen wants to know if are there no real criminals to take to court. Thanks for being here for 10 months. Not a House defendant says if you live in Massachusetts and you're female, get out now. Thanks for being here for 16 months. Not a House defendant. Fiona says, I love seeing other Aussies on here. A lot of Australia, a lot of you folks from down under, a lot of New Zealanders, a lot of Irish and Scottish, and I love all of you, and Canadians. It turns out when I looked at my statistics last night, because YouTube is owned by Google, and so they have more data than you know what to do with, more analytics. Only 80% of my audience is in the US. 20% of you are from outside the US, and I love that so much because the world is watching. Not that, Carrie says, sidebar, I was watching an old stream of yours and your kids brought you cake to celebrate 100K. And it was so nice to see one of your beautiful children pop into frame. Love you, Mel. Love you. Oh, thank you so much for your 10. I mean, for your Canadian $13.99. Thank you, Miss Lou, for becoming a new member. Let's move on because we've got 34 minutes of testimony before everyone's probably going to jump to go watch Corey Richens. So again, trigger. Let me just fix the banner for one moment and thank Betsy. Thank you so much, Betsy, for your 10. She says, this is wild. And Elaine, thank you very much for your very generous 100 over Venmo, who says, why does Massachusetts hate women so much? Even the women are willing to railroad another woman. Thank you so much. And she says, as always, Melanie, another awesome pick. We're going to have to ask Court TV to continue covering this. And why don't they stream it live? Hello? Has the Mass DA's office got nothing better to do? Charlie wants to know from Australia. Apparently. Keep sharing your thoughts about Hank Brennan. And I never, ever knew that I could potentially like this man. Okay, here we go. This is from yesterday. And once again, this is going to be the lead investigator from Lawrence PD who responded to the scene on July 17th of 2020. And this is the ADA Patrick Burke. Here we go. Please, if you need to take a break, please do it for your mental health. I know there are many survivors of DV in the chat, so do what you have to do. You can always watch it later.
Sir, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause now and hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Please have a seat.
Yeah. So for the record, the parties have agreed and pre-marked 42 exhibits. Exhibit 1 is the thumb drive with the 911 call, and then exhibits 2 through 42 are various photographs. And as I said, members of the jury, you may be shown some of those during the course of this trial portion, but all exhibits will be available when the jury deliberates on the case. Whenever you're ready, Attorney Burke.
Thank you, Ron. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Could you please state your name and spell your last name?
My name is William Pasquale Colantoni, spelled C-O-L-A-N-T-U-O-N-I.
Where do you work?
The City of Lawrence Police Department.
How long have you been a police officer?
More than 30 years.
What is your current rank or position within the Lawrence Police Department?
My current rank is I'm a sergeant, and I am assigned to the Early Night Detective Division as a supervisor that runs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 1 a.m.
Could you please briefly take us through sort of your trajectory at Lawrence PD and where you started and where you are now?
Sure. I was sworn in as a police officer in November of 1995. I was academy trained in August to December of 1996. That was the Lowell Police Academy put on by the Massachusetts Police Training Council. And I began my career as a patrol officer on the midnight shift from the end of 1996 to March of 2000. from March of 2000 to January of 2024, I was assigned as a detective to the early night shift. From January of 24 until November of last year, I was promoted to sergeant, where I was on the early night and day shifts as a patrol supervisor.
So in total, how long, or when did you first become a detective? I'm sorry, could you?
March of 2000.
Thank you. Turning your attention to July of 2020, could you remind us what was your position in the Lawrence Police Department at that time?
I was a detective, and I worked the 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. shift Monday through Friday.
And it's probably sort of an obvious question, but what sort of things does a detective do?
As a general detective for the Lawrence Police Department, we're tasked with conducting criminal investigations, typically felony crimes.
And I take it you've received training in your years in investigative techniques and collecting evidence and things like that, correct?
I have.
Okay. Specifically on July 17th of 2020, did you work that day?
I did.
Okay. And at about 8:34 p.m., did Lawrence PD receive a call for an incident on Crest Street?
Yes.
Okay. And at that time, did officers from the Lawrence Police Department respond to that scene on Crest Street?
Yes, they did.
When that call came in, could you tell us what were you doing and sort of how you sort of became involved in that call in the ensuing investigation?
When that call came in, I was actually in the interview room with my radio off because I was interviewing an individual. That interview started at about 8:18 in the evening and followed up at around 8:39 or so. So when I exited the interview room, brought the individual back downstairs, I learned that there was an active scene, and then I was contacted by my then Sergeant Duchesne.
So the interview that you were working on, that was something completely separate, correct?
Unrelated to this investigation. Yes.
And when you were sort of done with that responsibility, that's when you found out about this other unfolding event, correct?
Correct.
And what did Sergeant Duchesne ask you to do? Sort of what was the first thing you did to assist in this investigation?
Sergeant Duchesne requested that I stay at the station. They had an active crime scene, a stabbing scene on Crest Street, and that that a female in custody was going to be transported back to the PD, and that I was to coordinate with members of the crime scene services section of the state police and Massachusetts Crime Lab to process the female and collect her clothing, and then ultimately be part of an interview.
An interview with the suspect?
Yes, Miss Medina.
To be clear, did you yourself ever respond to the crime scene at 18 Crest Street?
I did not.
You, your role was sort of staying at the station and doing things there, sort of off-site of the crime scene, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And did that include coordinating with crime scene technicians that came to the Lawrence Police Department?
Yes.
Okay. I want to jump ahead and ask you, Detective, during the course of this, or did any 911 calls come in reporting what had happened on 18 Crest Street?
Yes.
Did you review any, did you look to see if there were any and review the 911 calls from this incident?
I did. At some point between when Miss Medina arrived at the PD, when there was some time, I went to dispatch and I listened to 2 911 calls.
And why did you do that? Is that something you normally do on investigations?
I do. Whenever possible, I try to listen to any calls that came in to see if it may or may not assist with any part of the investigation.
And you reviewed calls in this case, correct?
I did.
How many 911 calls were placed for this incident?
2.
Who placed those 911 calls?
Lucy Medina.
That night when you were at the station, did you listen to those phone calls?
I did.
Okay. This morning or this afternoon when we met, did I show you a USB drive that had a couple audio files on it?
Yes.
And did those audio files appear to be consistent with the 911 calls that you reviewed in this investigation?
Yes.
Thank you. Has the USB been marked? Okay. Could we mark maybe the slip and I can keep the USB drive in there?
It's been pre-marked, I just want, it's exhibit 1, I'll mark it whenever you're done with it.
Thank you so much. All right, so I've inserted a USB drive into the computer. Detective, there are 2 audio files with a bunch of numbers and letters, correct?
Yes.
And those files are the 911 calls, correct?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Your Honor, with the court's permission, I would publish labeled calls.
That's fine.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to put up a trigger warning for these 911 calls. I haven't listened to them yet because you know I like to do genuine reactions on this channel. This is a trial that started yesterday in Essex County that nobody wants you to know about. This is the defendant, Lucy Medina, making 2 911 calls after allegedly stabbing her husband in the neck. If you're just joining, during openings, Hank Brennan, who is the defense attorney, opened with, he beat her. He beat her up. He beat her down. He beat her for 28 years. She was defending herself. On the night of July 17th of 2020, the husband, Luis Medina, the alleged victim, is not going to come in and testify. He survived. And his lawyer wrote a letter to the court in 2021, a year after this alleged stabbing, saying it was self-defense. She didn't commit any crime. I'm summarizing. And in fact, Luis Medina, the alleged victim, told the hospital personnel that he did it to himself, okay? Here's the 911 call. They're still persecuting Lucy Medina. They don't want you to know about it, but Court TV is giving us dribs and drabs, okay? Here are the 911 calls. Please protect your mental health.
And for the record, I'm opening up the file, the first one, the end is 0260 WE.
Sounds all.
At the bottom of your screen, you can see at the bottom of your screen, you can see the defendant, Lucy Medina. She's wearing a camel-colored blazer, head in hand. She was weeping throughout the opening audibly. We could hear it. Some of you thought it was me. It wasn't me. It was the defendant. At one point, Hank Brennan went over to see if she was okay in the middle of his opening. Some of you thought that was performative. I don't know what to think at this point about Hank Brennan, but I'm keeping an open mind. Okay, here we go. And yes, please hype the video on replay so more people see it. Thank you.
It still worked. Yeah, sorry. Thank you.
Tom Kokonowski's here. You used what one?
Ma'am, what's the address of your emergency? Okay, what's the address of your emergency, ma'am? Hello, ma'am? Ma'am, where's your emergency? Señora, ¿dónde es su emergencia, señora?
Ay, por favor.
¿Qué?
Por favor, manden una ambulancia rápido.
Ok, la ambulancia, entiendo, señora. Necesito una ambulancia. Señora, la ambulancia. Señora, para enviar la ambulancia necesito la dirección. Señora.
Ay, Luis, por Dios, por Dios. Ay, Luis, por favor, perdón. Ay, Luis, por Dios.
Señora.
Ay, Luis, por favor, Luis.
Señora.
Por Dios, párate.
Sí, está llorando.
Párate, por favor. Ay, Dios mío, por Dios, ¿qué fue lo que pasó?
Señora. Señora, confirme la dirección, por favor. Vamos a enviar la ambulancia, señora. Verifique la dirección, por favor. ¿Cuál es la dirección, señora?
Ay, no sé. ¡Ay, Dios! ¡Luis! ¡No!
Señora. ¿Cuál es la dirección?
¡No!
She's screaming her husband's name, Luis. That was the first of 2 911 calls in Spanish. You can't hype until the replay. I've seen it. You just can't hype until it's over and you're on replay. So come back later if you can hype it. That'd be amazing. I just need to take a breath. So I thought you guys might need to also. Okay, here we go.
Amos, address emergency. Hey, Speedy, how are you? Hi. We got an erratic caller. She kept on calling somebody else's name. She's asking for an ambulance, but we are not able to confirm. We have not been able to confirm the address. She hasn't really been talking with us. Okay. I'm trying to get her attention, but she's not responding. Is it Crest Street by any chance? I got a hitting at Crest Street, but I have 65 meters. All right. So, hello, señora. All right. Just send the police 18. ¿Cuál es la dirección, señora? Okay, we have the police on the phone right now. Okay. She just confirmed 18 Crest. 18 Crest. ¿Qué piso, señora? ¿Qué piso, señora?
Lawrence Police?
Yes.
Just to let you know that the fire and EMS are there, and they're looking in the window, and that's all they see is blood everywhere.
There's blood everywhere?
Yep. But
Okay.
they can't get in. They don't know what's going on.
Okay. Well, we're gonna be heading over there.
Okay. All right, very good. We have EMS fire on scene.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Detective, is that first clip from Exhibit 1 that we just listened to one of the 911 calls that was placed by Lucy Medina on July 17th, 2020?
Yes.
And if you know, there were two individuals, sounded like dispatchers talking back and forth. Do you know what that was about? Is that just sharing information?
Correct.
You want to play the second clip?
Okay, that was the first 911 call. I was wrong. I heard the phone ringing, but it was, I guess, just the dispatcher calling another location. So now this will be 911 call number 2. This is from July 17th, 2020.
Okay, ma'am. Oh my God. Is there a floor or apartment? My husband is dying. Okay, it looks like males stating her husband died. Okay, ma'am. Just stay on the line. I'm connected to the ambulance. Ma'am, stay on the line. It's 18 Crest. Is there a floor or apartment?
The ambulance address, emergency.
Hey, it's alarm, please. You have someone going to 18 Crest, right?
They're already there.
They're already there? All right. She's
Yeah,
stating
they
that her
just can't get
husband's
in.
dying.
Okay, they can't get in though.
They can't get in? Okay, they can't make entry.
That's why they, the fight is there too, and they can't get in to, so that's why we called
All right.
you guys to go over there.
They can't get in. Justin Alayan was able to bust down the door at Kelsey Fitzsimmons pretty easily. Don't these guys know how to bang doors down? Isn't that what they do for a living? Hello? She says her husband's dying. Let's bang the door down. What? Her husband's alive. He's not coming in to testify. His lawyer's going to testify, though, because he didn't think charges should have been brought. He says she was acting in self-defense because he beat her for 28 years.
Yeah, it's already been put up. We have an officer.
Yeah, I get you. See, just, I guess there's blood.
To make
blood
entry.
in here?
All right. All right, I'm not getting nothing from her. We have officer on our way.
Okay. All right, everyone's on our ALS has started as well.
All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna stay on the line with her.
What's that?
I'm gonna stay on the line.
Oh, yeah, okay. You're gonna stay on. Okay, very good.
Thank you. Hello. Hello. Hello, señora. Señora. ¿Me puede escuchar? Hello, señora. Hello. Hello, señora. Hello. Hello. Hello.
He's winning a lot.
Hello, señora. Yeah, they're already out there, and fire department's already outside. Do you want me to stay on the line with her? Because she's not even. Okay.
He's conscious. He looks like he's gonna pass out ambulance in the house right now.
Detective, the second audio file that we listened to from Exhibit 1, does that appear to be an additional recording of a 911 call placed by Lucy Medina on July 18, 2020?
Yes.
Eventually, Mrs. Medina was placed under arrest, correct?
That's correct.
And Were you still present at the station when was she brought back to the Lawrence Police Station?
Yes, she was.
And were you present when she was brought back?
I was.
When she was brought into the station, where was she sort of brought to? What was there an area that she was brought to?
She was transported by cruiser by Officer Nova. He pulled into the Sally Port and brought her into the pre-booking area, which we commonly refer to as the pink room, due to its color.
The Sally Port has entered the chat. And I wonder if the Sally Port in Lawrence has cameras that are inverted. Are we going to see video of her getting out of the car in the Sally Port? And they call it the pink room. There's a pink room in the Lawrence PD. She was brought back to the station. Okay, I'm just going to rewind that a little tiny bit.
When she was brought into the station, where was she sort of brought to? What was there an area that she was brought to?
She was transported by cruiser by Officer Nova. He pulled into the Sally Port and brought her into the pre-booking area, which we commonly refer to as the pink room, due to its color.
And when you say pre-booking, what does that mean?
It's a holding area where detainees will be placed prior to booking.
And did you observe Mrs. Medina when she was in the pre-booking room?
I did.
Could you just describe physically, what did she look like?
She was covered in blood. She appeared distraught. But most notably, she had a great deal of blood on her.
She was very upset, right?
Yes.
Okay. You stated earlier that you one of your responsibilities was coordinating with crime scene individuals that were responding to the scene and to the station, correct?
Correct.
And did individuals from the State Police Crime Lab arrive to the Lawrence Police Department?
Yes, at different times. The first was Marty Cuniff. He's a trooper assigned to the crime scene services section. He arrived first. He photographed Miss Medina in that pre-booking area.
And did he photograph her clothing?
Yes. Prior to his arrival, I had obtained a number of paper evidence bags and had her clothing removed and placed in separate bags by Detective Rivera.
Wait, what's that you say? What's that you say? You say you put the clothing into paper bags. Wait. Separate paper bag. And this is, remember, this is before the murder of John O'Keefe. This is back in 2020. They had paper evidence bags. Don't remember what kind of bag they threw John O'Keefe's clothes in the hospital, but I think it was plastic. They threw all the clothes into one bag. Are you saying this is what they did in 2020? That's so interesting to me. Thanks, Aunt BB, so much for your 50. She says, setting aside the ones in the Karen retrial, I wonder how many good officers wonder why a case goes to trial. They don't have a choice to testify. I'm just curious. This is definitely a trigger. I survived, as so many other cupcakes have said. Thank you, Mel. Thank you, Aunt BB, for being my first member on this channel ever, for your very generous 50, and for your constant love and support. Listen to how they collected the clothes in 2020. They threw his clothes on the floor, right? The hospital does that. I'm not saying that that's, I mean, sometimes it's the hospital that does that. But when they were picked up, shouldn't they have been put into separate bags, chain of custody? Thank you, Laura and Susan. Like and subscribe, everyone. Like and subscribe. Here we go. They had the proper evidence bags even. It's wild. No solo cups, no Stop and Shop bags. Maybe because it wasn't snowing, it was July. Maybe because this is Lawrence PD and not the MSP, because this was not a fatality. Luckily for Louis Medina, the wife beater. Here we go.
I had obtained a number of paper evidence bags and had her clothing removed and placed in separate bags by Detective Rivera.
Why did you have her clothing removed?
As evidence.
And obviously she was provided with something else to wear, correct?
Yes, I believe initially was a some form of hospital gown, but later a full Tyvek suit.
Tyvek suit has entered the chat.
And Trooper
Tyvek suit has entered the chat. They gave her one. Flashbacks to Brian Walsh.
Hospital gown. Yes, I believe initially was a some form of hospital gown, but later a full Tyvek suit.
and Trooper Cuniff, he's the one who took pictures, correct?
He did.
Were you present when he was taking the photographs?
Yes.
Obviously, we just discussed he took pictures of Miss Medina's whole body, correct?
Correct.
And did he take pictures of specific parts of her body, like her arms and her legs?
Yes.
How was it determined what to take pictures of, or what parts of her body to take pictures of?
From her own words of where she might have had some bruising on her body and face.
And she pointed that out to you and other officers, correct?
Correct.
And did Trooper Cuniff take photographs of the injuries that she pointed out on her body?
Yes.
Okay.
I have probably to 224. Oh, you're right. Thank you.
Can I see counsel for a second?
All right. This is the first time Judge interrupted. I forgot he was even there. His name is Judge John Frazier, and this is in Salem, Essex County. Day 2 of the trial is happening today, but there's no live stream. We're just getting the dribs and drabs that Court TV released last night, even though they're in the courtroom. Thank you. We already covered that first thing this morning. We pulled up the election results, and Aaron Spencer has won. I posted it also earlier, like 8 a.m. from my YouTube post section. Thank you, Blessed Texas Lolly. I'd rather watch this case than Richens also, but we got to get Court TV to live stream it on their YouTube channel, by the way, not their website, because I don't do commercials. That's why I have YouTube Premium. And if you do not have YouTube Premium and you're tired of commercials, get it. It's the best money you'll ever spend. You can get YouTube Lite. I don't know. It's maybe $6.99 a month. If you watch YouTube all day long and you don't have YouTube Premium, what are you doing? They're still at the bench. Susan says, thanks, Mel, for drawing back the curtain here. I'm doing what I can, but I need help. I need them to cover this live. I don't know. I don't think they're covering it live today. Gen X 1968 gifted 5 memberships because she's amazing and awesome. Gigi's here. She's got your back, 12, and she gifted 10 memberships. She's always an amazing contributor to the channel, as is Gen X 1968. To all the new members today, welcome. We are waiting. Still, they're at the sidebar. Court TV is calling this the reluctant victim assault trial. Not even mentioning that Hank Brennan has anything to do with it. I guess that's why it kind of flew under the radar. And they're back. No, Aaron Spencer won the primary. He has not won the general election yet.
Whenever you're ready, Attorney Burke.
Thank you.
Can I accept the court's invitation now?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sometimes you
All right, Detective. So we were just discussing Trooper Cunniff took some photographs of Mrs. Medina's body, right?
Correct.
In case they publish these photos, I'm going to trigger warn you again.
I am, in your honor, may I publish these with the
You may.
overhead? Thank you. I am publishing Exhibit 2. Detective, not a great quality photo, but that's but at least does this photograph get fairly accurately depict what she was wearing?
They are going to show the photos, so if you want to come to the screen to see the photos, you will see them. But remember, this was right after the incident when they brought her down to the station to photograph her. What Hank Brennan showed in his opening was a large exhibit of her bruises from the beating the next day. Okay? And many of you may know that bruises oftentimes don't show up right away, but we'll see if they did in these photos that were taken at the station.
After her clothing was collected,
Correct.
and obviously that's what her face and her hair looked like, correct?
Yes.
This looks like a Tyvek suit of some sort.
Publishing Exhibit 3. Those appear to be Mrs. Medina's hands.
Yes.
Exhibit 4.
Oh my God.
That appear to be Mrs. Medina's face.
Oh my God. I don't know if this is dried blood. I don't know if this is blood on her face or these
Yes.
bruises have
That
already
accurately
appeared.
depict-
Hold on. Because if these are bruises already, she's hella bruised. Look at her neck. It looks like someone's hand was around her neck. Her face looks badly beaten already. The sides of her face look badly beaten already. And that is horrific.
What she looked like.
Yes.
Exhibit 5 shows a side profile, correct?
Oh my God.
Correct.
Again, does that appear consistent with what she looked like?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I'm skipping forward to Exhibit 8.
Oh my God. I can't. I gotta
Here's our
minimize
mouth is open,
this.
correct?
Correct.
Well, it is
Is that
minimized.
because Trooper Cunniff or you wanted to get a picture of the inside of her mouth, if you remember?
Yes. Both.
Exhibit 9. What are we looking at in Exhibit 9?
That is Lucy Medina's T-shirt.
It's a bloody shirt.
And obviously that was after it was taken off of her body. Right?
Correct.
And does that appear to be what the T-shirt looked like when it was taken off of her?
Yes.
Exhibit 10, that's the back of the same T-shirt, correct?
Correct.
Exhibit 12, what are we looking at Exhibit 12?
Mrs. Medina's pants.
Those are the pants she was wearing?
Yes.
Exhibit 13. that appear to be Miss Medina's bra.
Yes, it does.
And I think you already stated this, but these items, the clothing items, were those collected
Yes, they were.
for evidence, correct?
Correct.
Exhibit 14. That appear to be Mrs. Medina's hand,
Yes.
top of her hand.
Yes.
Yeah. Did those appear to be defensive wounds, maybe? JG pointing out she's got a goose egg on her head. She looks worse than a pro boxer. Yeah, kind of like John O'Keefe. Right? Kind of like John O'Keefe.
Exhibit 17. She pushing up her lip. Do you know why she's doing that?
She complained of pain in that area.
And when she complained of pain, Trooper kind of took a picture of where she was talking about.
Yes.
Exhibit 18. This is Medina's calves and her feet, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, her feet and her legs look hella bruised. It was not a heart stained blood shirt on the t-shirt. I think the t-shirt had a heart on it, and then there was blood around it. But I initially thought that too, but then I looked closer and there was a heart on the t-shirt. This is the woman who's on trial, whose husband admits to beating her for 28 years. Okay, hello? Where's Cardi B emojis, please? Hello?
This is Medina's calves and her feet, correct?
Correct.
I can't believe they're prosecuting this case.
Exhibit 20. That Mrs. Medina's back.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Do
Bruises
you
on her back.
remember when a picture was taken of her back, was that you or Trooper Cunniff's decision, or did she point that out as an injury? If you remember.
I don't recall.
Why didn't they bring her to the
Exhibit
hospital?
21, that appears to be.
Why is she at the precinct or whatever the hell they call it, the Lawrence PD, instead of a hospital? Are they ever going to give her any medical treatment? Is she going to go to the hospital? What in the F is going on here? This is complete and total time for the. Are you kidding me? Her husband won't testify against her. He says it was self-defense. He didn't want her charged because he's been beating her for 28 years and he admitted it. And she's the one on trial. This is the Handmaid's Tale. Massachusetts is where your constitutional rights go to die, where victims of DV have zero protection and are prosecuted. Remember Penny McGee? Remember Brian Camp? Those have nothing, they didn't have to do with DV, but again, wrong people on trial. I have no words.
Probably her left arm, right?
Yes.
Exhibit 22 appears to be her right arm, correct?
Correct.
Her right arm clearly looks like she was grabbed around the arms. It's so hard that the bruises are already beginning to form within hours.
Appear to be bruises, right?
Yes.
Exhibit 23, is that sort of her elbow and part of her forearm?
Yes.
And lastly, exhibit 24, is that her other arm?
Yes.
Oh my God.
All right.
John Cash wants to know why she didn't just call the cops. She did call the cops. What do you mean? The other times when he was beating her over the 28-year period? I don't know. Tell me you know nothing about DV without telling me you know nothing about DV. She called the cops after she stabbed him because she thought he was going to die.
Other than Trooper Cuniff, other members of the lab responded, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember if they did any testing on Mrs. Medina?
They did.
Okay. Do you remember what they did?
I believe they swabbed her hands and maybe other parts of her body.
I don't know. Anybody do a grape kit? Anybody do a grape kit? Did you take her to the hospital? Right. How do we know? The cops haven't been to the home many, many times for DV. We don't know.
Were you present for a recorded interview between Mrs. Medina, yourself, and at the time Trooper Ulrich?
Yes.
Where did that interview take place?
There's a audio and video recorded interview room on the second floor of the Lawrence Police Department, and that's where the interview took place.
Was that, if you remember, was that after the photographs we just looked at were taken or before?
Afterwards.
Okay. And during that interview, would you say that you kind of took the lead and asked the questions, or did Trooper Ulrich take the lead and ask the questions?
Trooper Ulrich led the questioning, and I chimed in from time to time.
And not getting into the substance, but she was upset throughout that interview, correct?
Yes, she was.
Okay. And she was very distraught about about Mr. Medina's injuries, correct?
Correct.
And that's all they're going to show us. That's all they're going to show us. That's it. That's all we got from yesterday. But Lulu, if you think that I'm rude, then maybe you should just go. I don't think anything that I said was rude. But this is outrageous. You should be outraged. And when people come into the chat and says, Cammie says, this is also why DV victims are afraid to come forward, even with the bruises and evidence. What if no one believes them and the predator wants retribution? Yep. Thanks, Lori. Says I'm the antithesis of rude. The trolls are coming for me. The trolls are coming for me all the time. All the time, because look over here. Look over here. We don't get to see cross-examination. We don't get to see anything else. We don't get to see the pictures that I'm sure Hank Brennan has of her bruises, because these are the only two small little clippets, the 1 hour of footage that Court TV showed yesterday on their website. And if they have a camera in the courtroom today, they're not live streaming it. How do we get them to do that? How do we get to do that? Who's near Salem? Does anybody want to go into the courthouse? I don't think they've got a Zoom feed. They normally don't. They're not equipped for that. So I guess Court TV is going to put up a little snippet each day, a little summary of what happened, and we'll have to cover that. Massachusetts, this is what their latest crime and trial news says from yesterday. Massachusetts versus Lucy Medina, reluctant victim assault trial. Lucy Medina is charged with slicing her husband's throat with a knife, but she claims that she acted in self-defense after years of abuse. Sliced her husband's throat with a knife. Let's see if they've got any more put up today about it. The reluctant victim assault trial. Here's a picture of Lucy Medina leaving the courthouse yesterday. We know they're there. Why don't they, even if they tape the whole thing and then release it, on delay, we could still watch it that way. Here we go. I don't know. Maybe some people mistake my passion for rudeness. I don't know, but whatever. There it is. Lucy Medina leaving court yesterday, and you can see she's in that same camel coat after the first day of trial. Restraining orders are just a piece of paper. It says dentist. Dragonfly says, I just went over to Court TV and I asked them to cover this gavel to gavel on their YouTube snippet of what you just showed us, Melanie. Thank you. I don't know if they will. But if you are just joining, I didn't put show notes below the video for a reason. And the reason is because I wanted you to just hear this going in cold with no expectations, not knowing what this case is about, only knowing that Hank Brennan was involved in it. And I want to know your thoughts. Battered women syndrome is going to be a defense here. Hank Brennan said he's going to bring in Dr. Zeisel to testify, who is also going to be the expert on Lindsay Clancy, on Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Dr. Zeisel was also in the Turk trial, as I recall. I don't know if there's any fundraising for her. I don't know anything about anything because I didn't know anything about this case until Sierra brought this to my attention last night. Maybe if we can garner a little more public interest in this, Court TV will deem it worth broadcasting because they must have gotten permission from Judge Frazier to bring a camera into the courtroom, which we've seen sometimes in Kelsey Fitzsimmons. So if you're just joining, I'm going to give you a little brief synopsis of this trial, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts versus Lucy Medina. On the evening of July 17th of 2020, Lucy Medina called 911 twice and asked them to respond to her Crest Street home apartment because her husband was dying. 2020. We just heard from the lead investigator from Lawrence PD, I guess, Sergeant, I forgot his name already. Calantwoni, who had just become a detective. He was already a detective for 20 years at this point. He never went to the scene. But anyway, Lucy Medina apparently stabbed her husband with a sharp knife in the neck. Hank Brennan told us in his opening that he had been beating her for 28 years. He beat her. He beat her up. He beat her down. He beat her for 28 years. She was defending herself. Luis Medina, the victim here, never gave his side of the story. They never even asked him. He was taken to the hospital. He survived. They'd been married for 20 years, and he was beating her since 5 months into their relationship. Lucy Medina was indicted on charges of aggravated assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, which carries up to 10 years, and assault and battery on a family or household member, which carries up to 7 years. She has been out. She's been released on her own recognizance since the alleged crime. Luis Medina, the alleged victim, appears on the Commonwealth witness list, but Assistant District Attorney of Essex County, Patrick Burke, told us in his opening he's not going to call him. Hank Brennan, who is defending Lucy Medina, said in a motion that because Luis Medina is expected to assert both his Fifth Amendment and spousal privilege, that he might refuse to testify. And the defense is going to call instead Luis Medina's attorney, who wrote a letter to the court in 2021 that Hank Brennan intends to introduce a trial that says Mr. Medina firmly believes that defendant, if defendant was the source of his injuries, she acted in self-defense. He is adamant that defendant committed no crime. So not even the alleged victim is going to testify here. Yeah, I know. I saw that somebody just said uncivil laws covering this case today too. Yes, he was in here, the chat this morning, and then he saw me talking about this, and then he jumped on his own case to cover on his own channel to cover it. after making a couple of comments in here. So I guess the more eyes on it, the better. He and I did not agree on the Ashley Benefield case, so I'm not sure what's going to go on here, but apparently battered spouse syndrome is going to be used as the defense, and Hank Brennan intends to focus on who was the first aggressor on July 17th, whether the amount of force Lucy used was reasonable, and whether Lucy was the victim, or whether Louis Medina was a victim of his wife's violence, or vice versa. The letter from Louis said, the one that his attorney wrote, said, Mr. Medina firmly believes that if defendant was the source of his injury, she acted in self-defense. He is adamant that defendant committed no crime. And yet, the Commonwealth, the DA of Essex County, tell me who it is again, Paul Tucker? Is it Paul Tucker? Just like they're prosecuting Kelsey Fitzsimmons, just like they're refusing to prosecute Justin Alayan for his felony crimes that were caught on camera busting into Kelsey Fitzsimmons' case. And they even said, the AD in that case in Essex even said they were going to immunize Justin if they had to, if he ever decided to take the fifth. Right, Paul Tucker, right? Uh-huh. What is going on in Salem? Is it still 1692? Hank Brennan also said in opening that Louis Medina also beat the wife, not the wife or the woman that he was in a relationship with before, that he has a child with, but Lucy didn't know about it. So I imagine that woman's going to come in and testify. And here's the Court TV little blurb on their website about this. And again, it's much of what I already read to you, except did they correct the date? Because here it says July 17th, 2020. The defense plans to have an expert to testify about PTSD and battered women syndrome. A forensic psychologist hired by the defense is expected to testify that the Medina's relationship was parasitic and toxic. And see, then look, in the first paragraph, it says July 17th, 2020. And then here in the third paragraph, it says, who was the first aggressor on July 24th? So I don't know. Do they have no editors over there? I don't know. But she's been free on personal recognizance. At least she awaits trial. And we saw a different side of Hank Brennan today, in my opinion. Will Court TV continue? We're all in on the same joke, says Chrissy Nicole. We're all in on the same joke. Will they continue to cover it? Will they give us more video today? I don't know. Court TV has undergone some big changes. They got bought out by Law and Crime. And I don't watch it, honestly. So does Vinny still have a show every night? Like a 2-hour show? Doesn't his show go on at like from 9 to 11 or 8 to 10? I don't know if they're still together. I don't know, Angel. She is going to testify. I think Brennan said she was going to testify. Rosie's overruled. She loves all of you. Thanks for being here for 6 months. Thanks, Jackie. I put these up earlier for being here for 22 months. Weird Debbie says, thanks for all you do. Thanks for being here for 10. Lori says, thanks for being here for 19. Perhaps Redemption Song can be on the playlist. Thanks, Proctor Got Waffled, for being here for 10. Jan for being here for 18 months. Thank you so much for your compliment. Tina's Window said, I needed a restraining order 37 years ago. The judge accused me of doing it for money. I told the Globe, they printed, and he was sent to not such a nice area. Thank you for your 5, Tina. I think I deciphered that correctly. Thank you, Emma, for your super sticker. Thanks, SS Cupcake, for being here for 23 months. I think we did let you know when the calls were over. Oh, hey, it's Allie. Commented on this video, the one on the Court TV YouTube page, and asked them to stream it live. Everyone should do the same. That's a good idea. Nicole pointed out, this is a persecution of a woman who has suffered extreme trauma and is now having to relive it all over again. Horrendous prosecution. They should be ashamed. Thanks, Nicola. Gigi's got your back and says, I never thought I would ever regret learning Spanish. I stand corrected. Oh, this is horrible. This is not fake at all. Raw emotion. Fiona said, I wish it was translated. People were a lot of crazy commenters in the chat today. Thank you for tuning in from Australia. I don't know if it was gibberish. Thanks, Laura. I'm a cupcake in Spanish. Okay, you want to tell us what she was saying in the? I think it was kind of, even the Spanish interpreter said, I can't make out what she's saying. Part of it was my husband is dying. Thanks, Laura. Jenny Lula, great to see you too. Why can't they subpoena Luis? Well, they could. The problem is he's going to plead the fifth and spousal privilege. He admitted in the letter that his attorney wrote that he had been beating her, but as far as I know, he's not charged. That was a great question. And this is a great question too, Lisa. Do you know if Lucy had to do alcohol monitoring like Kelsey? That's a great question because this incident did involve alcohol. Kelsey's did not. Same county, same building, I believe. Different judge. Let me see. Oh, please. If anybody is covering this. Oh, please. If any mainstream, like Boston 25, Boston 10, Court TV on YouTube, hold please. If you guys can, Boston 10, Boston 25, sometimes they get a camera in there. But no, today Court TV is streaming. The only thing they're streaming live today is, it looks like Corey Richens on their YouTube channel. And these things that we just watched, the openings and the 30-minute testimony from the police officer, are posted as just videos. So I got nothing for you, but I want to have something for you because I think this is the case that there needs to be a lot more attention. Karen DePasquale, gifted 5 memberships because she's amazing. Thank you, MPB, again for your 50. Green Iris says, Hank still claims that Karen Reed is guilty, so I'm not giving him a pass. Where has he said that? Genuinely curious. Where has he said that? Because I didn't see that anywhere. I don't know that he's on social media, and so I don't know. Thanks, Mrs. Bouquet. Much love to you and Harrison as well. I love you with all my heart. Thanks for being here for 22 months. You're an OG. Carrie says, thanks. Love being a cupcake. Thanks, Melanie, for all you do. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Carrie. Jazzy Girl said, would you consider inviting Hank on as a guest? I don't have to think about that. Would he come on as a guest? I highly doubt it. I'll talk to anybody. But thank you for being here for 18 months. Bridget gifted 5 memberships also because she's amazing and a great contributor and very generous. And Kay says, I think it's time. He isn't guaranteed. I think this time he isn't guaranteed $700K. He's earning his money. Talking about Hank Brennan. Thank you. Jamie Ricky, thank you for your deuce. And Skyvale gifted a membership. Thank you so very much. Gigi says, I can't wait to hear Hank's voice. Color me surprised. Me too. Mick the Gemini became a new member. Linda Joe became a member. Welcome, welcome. So you guys, there's new motions on Karen Reed. What new motions are there? New motions as of like today? Because here's what's happening for the rest of the week. Tomorrow, there's going to be Kelsey's final pretrial hearing, I believe at 9:30. And then I have a Karen Reed Rule 16 conference at 3 p.m. And then there's another Karen Reed hearing at 9 a.m. on Friday. And apparently Nick Rocco has posted that AJ is going to be there and it's going to be explosive. Allegedly. But let's just talk about this for a second. I just want to look up the docket and see if there's any more that I can find out or tell you about this Lucy Medina case, because I'm invested in this now. I'm invested. Let me just, hold please, while I just get into the docket. But you know what they make me do? They make me like click pictures on all the motorcycles in the picture. And then it takes a minute. So just give me a minute. See if it shows what her bail conditions are. Well, this is interesting because according to the court docket, she wasn't even indicted until May of 2021. The alleged stabbing was in July of 2020. She wasn't indicted until May of 2021. And let's see if Hank Brennan has represented her the entire time. I don't know how even how long this trial is supposed to be, except today's the 4th, and they've got it scheduled for today, tomorrow, and Friday. So it's going to be at least 3 more days. But we know how Salem is. They don't want anybody to know what's going on in that courthouse. We did watch that Aaron Spencer yesterday interview with Conduit News. We watched it yesterday. So back in 2021, right after Lucy Medina was indicted, her appearance, the attorney that appeared for her was Murat Erkan, who Hank Brennan mentioned in his opening. He said that was the attorney for Luis Medina. So that's weird. And then, well, 7/29/21, he was added as private counsel for defendant Lucy Medina. And then by 8/5 of 21, he was dismissed or withdrawn. And then Hank Brennan made his appearance in this case in August of 2021. So he's had it in less than 90 days after her arraignment in 2021. And this case has been going on for 5 years. And this is really weird because this Erkan attorney was objecting to things on behalf of the victim. There was no way that this guy could have represented them both. What was he thinking by entering an appearance? She pled not guilty August 5th, 2021, and was released on personal recognizance. And her bail warnings were read, but it doesn't say. Well, there's a finding and order on bail, but it doesn't say in the notes here what her bail conditions were. I want to know if she's got an ankle monitor and whether she has alcohol conditions. Interesting to me. We'll see if we can get a hold of some of the papers so that we can have some papers to go over. There's been suppression hearings, all kinds of hearings. Why is this taking so long? I got to do a deeper dive into it, you guys. I have more homework to do. But hopefully we can get somebody to cover it live. Anyone? Team Brittany says, so all of you saying he took this case because of the Karen Reed case. No, he didn't. He's just doing a job for a client. In fact, he's been representing this client since August of 2021, way before he ever became involved in the Karen Reed case. And in the Karen Reed case, he was a hired gun. Victory says the Essex DA Paul Tucker is responsible for the Medina prosecution as well as Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Who is this nut? Everyone needs to like the video and then hype it when it's over. Late on, fast forward, happy anniversary to us, Desiderata. We've been here for 22 months together. You need to go back and watch this if you weren't here from the beginning because it's wild and it's unexpected. And Lettero by Bettero saying it's okay to dislike an attorney in one case, but respect their work in another. I don't know. I'm conflicted. Ann Smith says, you found a great trial. Lucy needs our help. Little tears are streaming down my face. Does she have children? I don't know. I don't know. Cricket. Hank should stick to defense. He's much better at it. Agreed. Agreed. You know, he got paid what? $700,000 to persecute Karen Reed? Did Massachusetts run out of cases, says Gigi? A lot of you are saying the same. TAJ. Lala. Ugh, I hate that I'm rooting for Brennan. Make it make sense. So replies good. They want Karen Reed's attorney's fees paid for filing this emergency motion. Why don't we make that a different stream? What time do they go to lunch on the what time do they go to lunch on the Richards trial? Eastern. Team Brittany says, all accounts, thanks for the bot traffic. We appreciate you. The island loves you as well. Okay, so Karen needs us a reply. And we can go over that in a different stream. Thanks, Mo, for becoming a new member. I don't know if Hank Brennan ever was a prosecutor before he became a defense attorney. He did defend Whitey Bulger, but I don't know. Some attorneys start off as prosecutors and then switch to the defense side. Some attorneys go straight into defense work or stay in prosecution work. Jessica says, I'm behind now, but how's this trial not being live streamed by Court TV or Law and Crime? This poor woman, my heart is with her. And the fact that a guy is taking these pictures and not a woman is disgusting. It's against Diller using wiretapping illegally in court document asking for sanctions. Okay. Okay. All right. Mastat says Paul Tucker is the elected DA. He has very, very little say on who gets prosecuted on a day-to-day basis. So who makes the decision then? Who makes the decision to prosecute? Mastat? He also says Brennan was a prosecutor in Middlesex County for around 5 years. Oh, DA Paul Tucker is the former chief of police in Salem, says Mama Bug. Yeah, we got to see if we can get them. Usually a first assistant DA or a bureau chief. That's who decides to bring charges. Okay, interesting. Interesting. You guys got to share this out. This needs more attention. That this case never should have been brought or it should have been dropped when the alleged victim filed a letter saying you shouldn't be prosecuting her. It was my fault. Yeah, Kurt is covering it because he was here this morning and then jumped on his own live stream to cover it. So thank you for commenting on the Court TV YouTube. All right, here's what's going to happen. Let me set up a new live stream for the Karen Reed filings. And then I will teleport you over to that. Let's do, what time is it now? 12:16. Let's do, how about how's 2:30? Does that work for you? Go have some lunch. Yeah, you need to hype it, but you can't do it until it's over. Yeah, I did see that about John Kerry being found guilty in the Claire Gravel trial. The problem is it was not streamed anywhere. And there was very little reporting on it, so I couldn't even really recap it with you. And it's very disturbing. So when this is over, please hype this video. That will help get the word out. It'll get into more people's algorithms. Let's I'm going to teleport you over to the 2:30 so that we can go over the new papers, but I have to get them and I have to go over them and I have to look at them because we've been here. So we couldn't do that quite yet. Okay. All right. Let me know your thoughts when this is over, please, about what's going on with Lucy Medina. And of course, I'm going to teleport you over to the 2:30 stream so you can go have some lunch and catch up on Corey Richens or whatever it is that you would like to do. Any FOST updates? No. Nothing yet. There's going to be a hearing, I think, in June on the motion for a new trial. I think it's in June. But aside from that, Laura says she was yelling, "Levantate, Louis," which means stand up, Louis. Also, Dios mío, which means my God. Thanks, Laura, for your 5 and for translating for us. And KLM says Damon filed a surreply today, illegal recording, and it's fire. All right, well, we're going to cover that at 2:30. How do you feel about that? Let's do it. Mama She, thank you for your 50, and she loves my passion. Somebody else called me rude today. Guess they don't know me. I love you, Mama She. You're the greatest. You're the greatest. All right, buckle your seatbelts. Thank you, KLM, for your super chat. Let me go get the papers. We're going to reconvene here at 2:30, and you're not going to want to miss it. But please tell everyone about this new Hank Brennan case that Essex County does not want you to know about. Thank you to the moderators. I love you with all my heart. I could never do this without you. Stay cool, stay kind, stay classy, and be safe out there because it's a jungle. When they start getting crazy on the cesspool of Twitter, you know it's because they're getting scared. Okay? Love you guys. Buckle your seatbelts, and hopefully you have a safe travels over to the 2:30 stream. I'll see you then. Bye.